ಅಂಬಿಗೆ ಮಗನೇ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಅಂಬಿಗೆ ಮಗನೇ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಅಂಬಿಗೆ ಮಗನೇ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಅಂಬಿಗೆ ಮಗನೇ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಜಗವತ ನಾದ ನಾದ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಜಗವತ ನಾದ ನಾದ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಜಗವತ ನಾದ ನಾದ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಜಗವತ ನಾದ ನಾದ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಗೌರಿ ಪುರಾಣ ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಶಿವ ಗೌರಿ ಪುದರ್ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಶಿವ ಗೌರಿ ಪುರಾಣ ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಶಿವ ಗೌರಿ ಪುದರ್ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಅಂಬಿಗೆ ಮಗನೇ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಅಂಬಿಗೆ ಮಗನೇ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಜಗವತ ನಾದ ನಾದ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಜಗವತ ನಾದ ನಾದ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಗೌರಿ ಪುರಾಣ ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಶಿವ ಗೌರಿ ಪುದರ್ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ವಿಘ್ನ ವಿನಾಶಕ ಸರ್ವ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ವಿಘ್ನ ವಿನಾಶಕ ಸರ್ವ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ವಿಘ್ನ ವಿನಾಶಕ ಸರ್ವ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ವಿಘ್ನ ವಿನಾಶಕ ಸರ್ವ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ವಿಘ್ನೇಶ ಗಣೇಶ ಸಿದ್ಧಿ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ವಿಘ್ನೇಶ ಗಣೇಶ ಸಿದ್ಧಿ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ವಿಘ್ನೇಶ ಗಣೇಶ ಸಿದ್ಧಿ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ವಿಘ್ನೇಶ ಗಣೇಶ ಸಿದ್ಧಿ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಗೌರಿ ಪುದಲ ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಗೌರಿ ಪುದರ್ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಗೌರಿ ಪುದಲ ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಗೌರಿ ಪುದರ್ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಶಿವ ಗೌರಿ ಪುದಲ ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಶಿವ ಗೌರಿ ಪುದರ್ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಶಿವ ಗೌರಿ ಪುದಲ ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಶಿವ ಗೌರಿ ಪುದರ್ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಅಂಬಿಗೆ ಮಗನೇ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಅಂಬಿಗೆ ಮಗನೇ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಜಗವತ ನಾದ ನಾದ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಜಗವತ ನಾದ ನಾದ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಗೌರಿ ಪುದಲ ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ಶಿವ ಗೌರಿ ಪುದರ್ವನ ವಿನಾಯಕ,
ವಿಘ್ನ ವಿನಾಶಕ ಸರ್ವ
drimiki drimiki drim, drimiki drimiki drim, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ। ओम drimiki drimiki drim, drimiki drimiki drim, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ। मृदंग बाजे शिव 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 शिव, मृदंग बाजे शिव 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 शिव, डमरू बाजे हर 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 हर, डमरू बाजे हर 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 हर, वीणा बाजे शिव ओम शिव ओम, वीणा बाजे शिव ओम शिव ओम, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ। ओम drimiki drimiki drim, drimiki drimiki drim, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ। ओम drimiki drimiki drim, drimiki drimiki drim, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ। मृदंग बाजे शिव 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 शिव, मृदंग बाजे शिव 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 शिव, डमरू बाजे हर 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 हर, डमरू बाजे हर 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 हर, वीणा बाजे शिव ओम शिव ओम, वीणा बाजे शिव ओम शिव ओम, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ। ओम drimiki drimiki drim, drimiki drimiki drim, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ। ओम drimiki drimiki drim, drimiki drimiki drim, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ। ओम drimiki drimiki drim, drimiki drimiki drim, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ। ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय।
अंजनी के पुत्र महाबली है हनुमंत बाबा,
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 हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा,
हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा,
हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा,
हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा।
अंजनी के पुत्र महाबली है हनुमंत बाबा,
अंजनी के पुत्र महाबली है हनुमंत बाबा,
रामचंद्र का तुम ही हो दुलारा,
रामचंद्र का तुम ही हो दुलारा,
तीन दीन लोक का तुम ही हो उजाला,
दीन लोक का तुम ही हो उजाला,
सोना के लंका जराते हुए हनुमंत बाबा,
सोना के लंका जराते हुए हनुमंत बाबा,
हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा,
हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा,
हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा,
हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा,
अंजनी के पुत्र महाबली है हनुमंत बाबा,
अंजनी के पुत्र महाबली है हनुमंत बाबा,
अंजनी पवन का तुम ही हो प्यारा,
अंजनी पवन का तुम ही हो प्यारा,
भक्त जनों का तुम ही हो सहारा,
भक्त जनों का तुम ही हो सहारा,
साधु संत के तुम रखवारा,
साधु संत के तुम रखवारा,
राम का नाम सुनाते चलो हनुमंत बाबा,
राम का नाम सुनाते चलो हनुमंत बाबा,
हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा,
हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा,
हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा,
हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा,
अंजनी के पुत्र महाबली है हनुमंत बाबा,
अंजनी के पुत्र महाबली है हनुमंत बाबा,
संकट से हमको बचाना,
संकट से हमको बचाना,
राम की भक्ति सबको दिलाना,
राम की भक्ति सबको दिलाना,
भक्तों की भक्ति बढ़ाते चलो हनुमंत बाबा,
भक्तों की भक्ति बढ़ाते चलो हनुमंत बाबा,
हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा,
हनुमंत बाबा, हनुमंत बाबा,
अंजनी के पुत्र महाबली है हनुमंत बाबा,
अंजनी के पुत्र महाबली है हनुमंत बाबा,
राम राम बोलो सिया राम बोलो,
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 राम राम बोलो सिया राम बोलो, ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय।
Om Namo Narayanaya, dearest devotees. My talk for today is based on the book The Mind and Its Control by Swami Buddhananda. The mind is a bundle of thoughts and desires. These thoughts give rise to actions, and what we enjoy or suffer are consequences of these actions. Good thoughts will lead to a good life and vice versa. Therefore, it's important and our responsibility to control our mind. Shri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, O Arjuna, the mind is restless and hard to control, but by practice and dispassion, it can be controlled. From this statement, we gather two basic facts about mind control. Firstly, it has always been an extremely difficult task, even for heroic persons like Arjuna, but it is possible to control the mind. Once, a disciple approached his guru saying, Master, please enlighten me with some knowledge. The guru was seated outside a cave. He said, Child, let us go inside the cave and light the lamp. The disciple entered the cave with a matchbox in hand, located the lamp, and tried to light it. He struck many matches, but the lamp would not be lit. He emptied the matchbox, but remained unsuccessful in his attempts. He reported to the guru that the lamp is not lighting. So the guru asked, Why is that so? Let me have a look at the lamp. The lamp was brought to him, and he asked his disciple to check if it was filled with oil. The disciple then discovered that it was water in the lamp and not oil. And as the wick was soaked in water, it would not burn. So the guru instructed him, First, throw the water out and squeeze water out of the wick. Next, pour some oil and also soak the wick in the oil. Then light it. It will surely burn brightly. The disciple followed the instructions and was successful in lighting the lamp. Once the lamp was lit, the guru turned silent. The disciple waited a while and asked, Master, you said you would enlighten me with knowledge. When will you do that? The guru replied, I have been doing that all the while. Didn't you understand? The disciple was very confused. The guru then explained, How can the flame of knowledge be kindled if the lamp of your heart is filled with the water of worldly and materialistic impressions, and your mind, the wick, is soaked in materialistic ideas? First, drain out from your heart all affinity to the physical world. Free your mind too of such ideas and fill yourself with God's love. Then I will kindle the flame by initiating you with God's name. That itself will be the flame of knowledge. Without love for God and with a heart and mind filled with worldliness, how can I enlighten you? We live in a world full of business and clatter. We often get distracted and may be unable to hear the voice of God. Spiritual practices which encompass japa, prayer, and meditation play a vital role in the lives of spiritual seekers. It is a definite way to peace despite all the hindrances that one has to face in daily life. We usually complain that it is very difficult to lead a life of contemplation amidst the demands of everyday life. Sri Ramakrishna advises that a devotee should hold on to the feet of the Lord with the one hand while doing his duties with the other. The Master said, Sing God's name, keep holy company, and now and then visit holy men. Study of the scriptures, holy company, and quiet living help develop our inner lives. For success in a contemplative life, one needs earnestness and regularity. Certain habits and thoughts make our task of controlling the mind almost impossible, but it is helpful to know what these are so that we may avoid them. For example, we shall not be able to control the mind if we deliberately harm others, we indulge in intoxicants, and live unbalanced lives. Moderation is beneficial. Thus, do not eat, work, or sleep too much or too little. We can also refrain from being inquisitive about others' affairs or fault-finding. To succeed in controlling the mind, one must have, in addition to a strong will, faith in oneself. Those who want to control their minds must not store up ill feelings, grievances, or other negative impulses. Mind control is actually a personal task. Here is an example which indicates how forgiveness helps in restoring the health of a mind. A story tells of a merchant in a small town who had twin sons. The boys worked for their father in the department store he owned, and when he died, they took over the store. Everything went well until the day a dollar bill disappeared. One of the brothers had left the bill on the cash register and walked outside with a customer. When he returned, the money was gone. He asked his brother, "Did you see that dollar bill on the cash register?" His brother replied that he had not. But the young man kept probing and questioning. He would not let it alone. "Dollar bills just don't get up and walk away. Surely you must have seen it." There was subtle accusation in his voice. Tempers began to rise, resentment set in, and before long, a deep and bitter chasm divided the young men. They refused to speak. They finally decided they could no longer work together, and a dividing wall was built down the center of the store. For 20 years, hostility and bitterness grew, spreading to their families and to the community. Then one day, a man in an automobile, licensed in another state, stopped in front of the store. He walked in and asked the clerk, "How long have you been here?" The clerk replied that he had been there all his life. So the customer said, "I must share something with you. 20 years ago, I was riding the rails and came into this town in a box car. I had not eaten for 3 days. I came into the store from the back door and saw a dollar bill on the cash register. I put it in my pocket and walked out. All these years, I have been unable to forget that. I know it wasn't much money, but I had come back to ask for your forgiveness." The stranger was amazed to see tears well up in the eyes of this middle-aged man. "Would you please go next door and tell that same story to the man in the store?" he said. Then the man was even more amazed to see two middle-aged men who looked very much alike, embracing each other and weeping together in front of the store. After 20 years, the wall of resentment that divided them came down. It is so often the trivial things that divide people. Words spoken in haste, criticisms, accusations, resentments. And once divided, they may never come together again. The solution, of course, is to let it go. There is really nothing particularly profound about learning to let go of little resentments for fulfilling and lasting relationships. We find that the purer the mind, the easier it is to control. Purity refers to not having vices. A pure mind easily gets concentrated in meditation. When pure souls perform japa, they feel as if the holy name bubbles up spontaneously from within themselves. They do not make any effort to repeat the name. We should practice disciplines for the purification of the mind, but we need to create a favorable inner climate by consciously accepting certain inevitables of life. The revered Swami Buddhananda shares these 3 wise teachings of the Buddha that, when practiced, help us to deal with events that are unavoidable in life. Here are some examples. Old age, disease, and death will come upon us someday. All things that we hold dear are subject to change, decay, and separation. We are the outcome of our deeds, and whatever those deeds, good or bad, we will be heir to them. If we can accept and practice these teachings, we may be able to avoid unnecessary mental problems like stress or anxiety. In chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna advises Arjuna that karma yoga or selfless service is the best means to purify the mind. Shri Krishna says, "He excels, O Arjuna, who controls the senses with the mind and directs the organs of action to the path of work without attachment." The objective of mind control is the realization of our absolute oneness with the divine. The simplest and surest method of controlling the mind is through the love of God. There is no greater blessing in life than a controlled state of mind. Let us do our very best to acquire it, for this will lead us to the greatest of blessings. Hari Om, Tat Sat.
Nanya-spriha Raghupate Hridaye Asmadiye Satyam Vadami Cha Bhavan Akhilantaratma Bhaktim Prayachya Raghupungava Nidharame Kamadidoshaраhitam Gurumanasam cha.
Om Shri Sita Lakshmana Bharata Shatrugna Hanuman Sameta Shri Ramachandra Parabrahmane Namah. Shuddha Brahma Parat Pararam Kalatmaka Parameshwara Ram. Shuddha Brahma Parat Pararam Kalatmaka Parameshwara Ram. Sheshakalpa Sukha Nikrita Ram. हर हर मंगल दशरथ राम जय जय मंगल सीता राम हर हर मंगल दशरथ राम जय जय मंगल सीता राम मंगल कर जय मंगल राम संकट शुभ विमहोदय राम मंगल कर यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् श्रीसियावर रामचन्द्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय श्री अम्बे अम्बे मात की जय।
Om Namo Narayanaya, dear sisters and brothers. Let us sit calmly and meditate on the divine form of God seated in our hearts. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verses 39 and 41, "He who is full of faith and zeal and is the master of his senses attains knowledge. Having attained knowledge, one immediately attains the supreme peace. Actions do not bind him, O Arjuna, who renounces action through yoga, whose doubts are destroyed by knowledge, and who is poised in the self." This is supreme knowledge. This is the ultimate knowledge of the Atman, knowing that God and God alone exists in the whole world. Let us fill our hearts with love, peace and joy and spread these to all whom we meet or talk to. May the world be filled with peace. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम तत्सत्।
जय श्री गुरु महाराज की
जय।
महामाई की
जय।
स्वामी जी महाराज की
जय।
गंगा मात की
जय।
महावीर स्वामी जी की
जय।
सर्व ऋषि मुनीन की
जय। पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव की जय। ओम नमो नारायणाय।
Namo Narayanaya. Dear children, last week we saw Shurpanaka visit Ravan to obtain retribution against Ram. Now, Shurpanaka was being dishonest. She embellished her story, telling Ravan that she went to fetch the beautiful Sita as a wife for Ravan when she was attacked by Ram. In the first lesson, we were introduced to Ravan. He was a powerful and brave warrior, and learned in the scriptures. He performed immense austerities and pleased Lord Brahma. Ravan was very arrogant and asked Brahma for a boon which will prevent any demon or divine being from killing him. He did not think that humans would be worthy opponents. Ravan ruled the opulent city of Lanka. Sadly, he was very selfish and abused his powers. The people of Lanka feared him. He was quick to get angry, greedy, and always seeking pleasure. Ravan, seeing his sister humiliated and hearing Kara and Dushana had been slain, rose from his throne with anger. The crowns on his 10 heads glistened. He thundered, "How many humans fought to slay my brothers?" "There are but 2, sobbed Shurpanaka. "2," roared Ravan, his voice echoing through the palace. "The 2 banished princes from Ayodhya have done this alone," affirmed his sister. She added, "Ram's wife, Sita, is the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. She would make a lovely queen. Whoever Sita embraces as her husband will surpass the gods in happiness." Ravan pondered. "Perhaps there is a way to avenge my sister's wounds and the loss of my brothers. I will punish Ram." He summoned the demon Marich, who had the ability to assume the form of any human or beast. Ravan told Marich about Ram. He shared his desire to avenge Ram for humiliating his sister and killing his brothers by kidnapping Sita and making her his queen. He said, "I want you to transform yourself into a golden deer and lure Ram away from the hermitage." Marich was terrified of Sri Ram. He recalled being struck by the young Ram's arrow when he tried to disrupt Vishwamitra's fire sacrifice. Marich advised Ravan not to engage with Ram, but Ravan was unwilling to accept any advice. He threatened Marich with death. Marich decided that it would be better to die by the divine hands of Ram, so he agreed to Ravan's instructions. The next day, a beautiful deer with sparkling golden spots appeared near the stream in Panchavati. His Sita was enchanted by this exquisite deer. She had never seen such a splendid creature before. "Please bring that deer for me," Sita asked Ram. Lakshman looked at the creature and cautioned Ram, saying, "I have never seen a golden deer before. The deer is too perfect, brother. It might be Marich in disguise. Do not approach it." However, Sita pleaded with Ram for the deer. Ram knew that it was a ruse, but, wanting to please Sita, he asked Lakshman to protect Sita while he went in search of the elusive deer. It darted into the woods, leading Ram further from the hut. Then, deep in the forest, the deer paused, and Ram shot it. The deer changed into the form of Marich, and, imitating Ram's voice, cried out, "Lakshman, help me!" Marich then died. Hearing Ram's call for help, Sita urged Lakshman to hasten to his assistance. Lakshman consoled Sita, saying, "No harm can come to Ram. I am certain that this is a trick of the demons. Besides, Ram has asked me to protect you, hence I cannot leave you alone." She became angry and harshly said, "Ram needs your help. Do you refuse to go to his aid because you wish him dead so that you can marry me?" Lakshman was deeply hurt by Sita's accusations. He tried to reason with her by saying that he was following his brother's instructions. However, he eventually agreed to go to Ram's aid. He drew a protective circle, or Lakshman Rekha, around the hut with his arrow and asked Sita not to cross its safety. Lakshman grasped his quiver and ran in the direction of Ram's voice. From behind a tree, Ravan watched his plan unfold perfectly. In an instant, he disguised himself as a hermit, clutching a begging bowl. Many hermits passed the hut, so Sita respectfully offered him some fruit. Noticing the protective circle, Ravan asked Sita to give him the fruit in his hands. Sita, disregarding Lakshman's warning to remain inside the circle, as she did not want to disrespect a hermit. As soon as she stepped across the protective circle, Ravan grabbed Sita and placed her in his chariot. Sita called for Ram to rescue her, but he was too far away to hear her. Sita realized her error of judgment. The chariot rose into the sky and sped off to Lanka. Jatayu, the old vulture, heard Sita's cries of distress. He spread his huge wings and flew toward the chariot to rescue her. The brave Jatayu attacked Ravan. However, the old vulture was no match for Ravan. As Jatayu grew tired from the fight, Ravan drew his sword and cut off both of Jatayu's wings. The dying bird fell to the ground, assuring Sita that he would wait until Ram passed that way and tell him of Sita's plight. Ravan returned to his chariot and flew to Lanka. Sita noticed some monkeys on a mountain top. She removed her jewelry and threw it down to them, hoping that it would provide a clue as to her whereabouts. Once in Lanka, Ravan tried to convince Sita to be his queen, but Sita refused. Ravan ordered Sita to be held captive in the Ashoka garden, where she was guarded by many demonesses led by Trijita. Back in the forest, Lakshman found Ram unharmed. Ram told Lakshman that Marich had indeed disguised himself as a deer. He was fearful that Sita was in danger from the demons that roamed the forest. Upon returning to the hut, Ram and Lakshman found that Sita was gone. Their search revealed the slain Jatayu, who, with his last breaths, told them of the abduction of Sita, and pointed out the direction the chariot had taken. After performing the last rites of the brave Jatayu, Ram and Lakshman began their search for Sita. Dear children, what did we learn today? The first lesson is to listen to wise counsel. Today we saw Ravan being swayed by Shurpanika, who had ulterior motives of revenge. It is important to stay on guard against poor advice. We must be vigilant in order to avoid being led down the wrong path. We need to have a firm mind and not be swayed easily by others. It is important to question our behavior and think of the consequences of our actions before making any decisions. Do not make decisions in haste and without weighing all options. Marich advised Ravan not to abduct Sita, but Ravan was unwilling to listen to him. The second lesson here is courage. Jatayu, witnessing the kidnapping of Sita, disregarding his old age, he tried to save Sita by fighting Ravan valiantly, but failed. This act of bravery teaches us that we must always stand up for the truth. If our friends bully a younger child, it should be our duty to not just stand by as a meek spectator, but tell responsible friends or elders about such matters so that they can deal with the situation appropriately. Jatayu was old and quite small compared to Ravan. He tried to take on the powerful Ravan single-handedly, teaching us to be courageous and unafraid to take on any challenge that comes our way, and to accomplish it to the best of our ability. Let us also think about the wonderful character of Lakshman. Lakshman was devoted to Ram from infancy. He willingly chose to accompany Ram in exile, leaving his wife Urmila to care for his mothers. Lakshman did not sleep for 14 years. He would remain outside Ram's hut, protecting his brother and Sita. He lived a life of service and sacrifice. We will conclude the story of the Divine Prince next week. Om Namo Narayanaya.